Hello, my name is Craig Wheeler, and I'm here with Chairman of the Board, Greg Bemis, Alaya Chadwick, and our friends Keith, and we're here today to describe to you a very, very exciting project that's happening here in Raymond, New Hampshire. And it's happening at a place called Sanctuary, and that is Mrs. Chadwick's property. If you could talk a little bit about Sanctuary.
I'd be glad to. Sanctuary is the name of the property that my husband John and I own, 65 acres of land right in Raymond, and we dedicated the land called Sanctuary as a place of transformation, renewal, and healing. And each time we've made any steps into community connections, we've always had that as our foundation. And here now, located at Sanctuary, is the Whole Point Institute, which I'm the founder and director of. And John, my husband, also has his business here too.
Sounds like an exciting property. I know we've walked around it today, and we'll be seeing some other clips of it. It's a gorgeous property.
Yes.
It's very peaceful.
It's peaceful, and also there are many people connected to Sanctuary from Maine to Rhode Island to Vermont. We have people globally, actually, because I work globally in a virtual way, and they're very excited about this project.
But it's grounded here in Raymond.
Grounded here in Raymond.
Grounded here in Raymond. Now, several weeks ago, you and Keith brought a project before the Board of Selectmen with Mr. Bemis. Greg, could you talk a little bit about how the Board of Selectmen view the project that we're going to hear about today?
Absolutely. The Board of Selectmen have always been very supportive of veterans, and it seemed like what a great idea, and we wanted to be 100% behind it. Meeting in the hall, just as we went in, their excitement was just so infectious that this is a project we need to get behind.
So clearly the Board of Selectmen support this initiative.
Absolutely, absolutely. All of us, it was a unanimous vote. How soon can we start, and can we be there to see it grow?
And actually, one of the members of the board has offered to spend a night with Keith in the house.
In separate bunks.
Clearly
Okay,
separate bunks. That's
we had
right.
to tell them that.
Okay.
Right. Well, I guess this brings it over to you, Keith. What is this project?
Okay. So I'm the executive director of Liberty House over in Manchester.
Liberty House in Manchester.
Okay. Which provides housing for 10 formerly homeless vets. And for folks who come from the city, the goal is that they get sober, they get jobs, then they get apartments.
Okay.
But for folks who come to us from more rural areas, there are not necessarily apartments available. We have folks who come to us from Colebrook, from Pittsfield, from pretty much anywhere north of Plymouth. Apartment rental's not a possibility. So we had the brainstorm last January or so. What if we were to convert an enclosed cargo trailer, the kind of trailer that's used by a plumber to carry equipment out to a job site, or that somebody might use for carrying a couple of motorcycles up to Bike Week? What if we were to convert one of those into livable space? Did a little bit of research, found that it has been done very successfully all up and down the West Coast, over into Utah, down into Texas, down into Alabama, all places, though, where the temperatures are fairly moderate.
Okay.
No organization, to our knowledge, has tried to do this in a place like Raymond, New Hampshire, where the temperatures vary 100 degrees plus over the course of the year. And so that is our goal here in Raymond, is to have a converted cargo trailer that my dog Lucy and I will be living in for the next 9 months as proof of concept that this can be done.
I see. Okay. So to summarize, you have the trailer. It is on site here. You're working in adapting it into a livable, habitable space, and you'll be moving in.
Already moved in.
Okay.
And the goal is not just livability, but likability.
Okay.
Because
Right.
people who have been living under bridges or living out in the woods, being told, I've got a warm, dry box for you to live in, any of them would jump at that opportunity. That's the reason that Lucy and I are doing it, is we have other housing options, but we're choosing
to live here.
Right.
And it's an experimental project.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Raymond? What was, what's the relationship between Liberty House and the Chadwicks? How did that work?
Well, the universe is a funny place. So, Alaya had been working on a project, and what is the name of the neck warmer project?
Hugs from Home.
Hugs from Home. And is this some of the knitting projects that you do?
Part of what had happened, let me just give a little backdrop here. Back a year ago, July, we hosted somebody from Soldier's Heart, which is a very profound project in response to the needs of the veterans. And their faith leader came and did a 2-day program here.
Okay.
And the point of it was communities need to respond to the needs of the veterans.
Could you repeat that? That's so critically important to this whole concept.
Yes, communities need to respond to the veterans. They went because we asked them to go.
And they put their life on the line.
They put their lives on the line.
So we are really indebted to them.
But more than that, we're responsible, I believe, and Soldier's Heart would say this, we're responsible to respond and welcome them completely home, because often they return with moral injury.
Right.
And the way to do that is to say, we shoulder the responsibility for all that you did over there,
So we
and the responsibility to help you have a life when you come back.
not just the bureaucracies that
Not
are
the
set.
bureaucracy, it's the
It
community.
goes outside of that. It's thinking outside the box.
Absolutely.
That it's a community moral responsibility.
That's right. There's a book, if people want to know, called War in the Soul by Ed Tick.
Yep.
And anyway, he came, and he didn't think we would respond, but Raymond acts.
Yes,
So we
yes.
immediately gathered a whole group of people together. We've created a ceremonial response to veterans that Keith's Liberty Home people are
Okay.
going to come to in July, which is community and veterans coming together.
Okay.
But the Hugs from Home was also a response because we learned in this process that there were something like 300 homeless veterans in Manchester, and it was midwinter, this past winter.
Okay.
And so we decided we'd knit them warmers. And so Bob Howarth, a Raymond resident of 30-something years and a veteran, and I went and delivered them to
Okay.
Liberty House.
That
And
must have been
that's
really
when-
exciting for you.
Yes.
Oh, it was so amazing,
Okay.
so amazing. And that's when we started having this
Right.
discovery.
Okay, so that was that connection.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And I have to say, it was incredibly gratifying to talk with the Board of Selectmen. Talk with the Board of Selectmen and have there be nothing but positive response to what we were talking about.
Craig, what?
I think what you said gave me goosepimples, but Raymond acts, and that's what we do. As a community, we always have, and I think we're definitely going to be behind this project, and to see it flower and grow and be other places that want to be catching up and being the same
One of the
response
things
to it.
that's really exciting is that in this group that gathered around the Soldier's Heart training, there were people from Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont, and locally. And they're all taking this tiny house idea to their communities. So my other phrase I love to say is Raymond's actions ripple out.
Okay.
Wonderful.
We're the pebble in
That's
the pond.
right,
Right.
kerplunk, and there go all the ripples.
Raymond Kerplunk. I
That's
like that.
right, I love that.
All right.
Beautiful.
So what's going to happen now? The building is here, your
Yeah.
tiny house.
Yeah, and we will have a chance to go out and take a look
That'll
at
be
it.
exciting.
You know, it's 8 feet by 20 feet, so it's small. It's here. My dog and I live here now.
Okay.
It is fully insulated, and all the work was done by residents at Liberty House, with me standing around with no skills but a lot of enthusiasm.
Okay.
And one of the residents who put in more than 100 hours of sweat equity will actually be getting this trailer at the end of the experiment.
Okay.
And that is the notion going forward, is that men and women at Liberty House will donate their time
I see.
in exchange for a trailer to live in when they decide to return to the North Country or wherever they
Wherever
want
they
to
go.
go.
So it's a continuum.
It is a continuum,
They-
and it's a self-stoking continuum.
Okay.
And I just want to touch again on Raymond and how important Raymond is to this whole thing. We had been in negotiations with another town in southern New Hampshire where every conversation resulted in roadblocks popping up like toadstools on a summer morning. And I have to say that from the minute that I reached out to Raymond town officials to that first evening with the Board of Selectmen, the question has always been, how can we make roadblocks disappear? How can we smooth the way? And I'll be honest with you, my only experience with Raymond before this had been beating Raymond High School in track all the time.
Well, let's not go there.
Okay. Okay. So, but I
Roots
had
are deep.
I had,
You were younger then.
Yeah, I went to Oyster River and we were much better. But I had no idea that Raymond was such a pocket of enthusiasm.
It's a very dynamic community. It's a young community. It's forward thinking. I just want to share with you an experience at the high school graduation, and it underscores Raymond's commitment to the veterans. At the high school graduation, which we graduated 80, 90 students, it is packed full. And one of our Board of Selectmen gets up who is giving a series of scholarships. And he noticed as people were filling the auditorium that there was a gentleman dressed in a Navy uniform. And Mr. Barnes goes up to give his scholarship, and he prefaces his remarks by saying, "I saw a veteran come in. Would you please stand?" And this young man in a snow-white Navy uniform stood up. Everybody in the room stood and applauded that man. All right? And for about a minute and a half, the room was silent in respect of the veteran. Mr. Barnes goes on to say, "Is there anybody in the graduating class that's going in the military?" The gentleman stands up. He's going into the Marines. And again, it repeats itself. There's this moment of silence. There's this moment of honor. There's this moment of respect that comes from the heart. It didn't come from anywhere else. Nobody said, "Stand up and applaud." Everybody did it. And so there was this, if you added the two events, probably 4 minutes of Raymond residents, old, young, educated, high school workers, all recognizing the veterans from Raymond. And I think that's the seed that has been planted here. And that's the seed that is growing your event. And that's the seed that is growing your event.
Right.
And we understand that. And I don't know how you teach it, but it's here.
One of the things I'd like to add is that it struck me that there was a coming together of three capacities to have vision. And so you had a vision, and you made choices, and then you took action. And I did the same thing, and Raymond does the same thing. You have a vision, you make choices, and you take an action. And when you bring three elements together, it actually becomes something that can roll.
It's more than the sum of 1 and 1 equaling 2. It's
That's
1
right.
and 1 equaling 5.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
Where do we go from here? What's going to happen next? You're going to be here for 9 months.
Going to be here for 9 months. And then if things go as planned, then we will be looking for donations of used cargo trailers that we would be transforming into likable space for homeless vets.
Will you be reporting out during your 9-month
Oh,
experiment?
yeah.
I know you talked to the Board of Selectmen of coming back,
Right.
and I know they're anxious to hear.
Yeah, and on the Liberty House website, which is libertyhousenh.org, I publish a twice-weekly blog of 500 to 1,000 words, just updating folks on what's going